Hey there! Today we're going to talk about a word that shows up in the news all the time: inflation. Maybe you've heard politicians argue about it, maybe you've seen it in headlines, or maybe you've just noticed it when you go shopping and think, wait a second, wasn't this cheaper last year? Inflation can sound like a complicated economic term, but it's really something we all deal with every single day. And here's the good news: you don't need to be an economist or a math genius to understand it. By the end of this video, you'll be able to explain what inflation is in simple words, using everyday examples like groceries, coffee, or even concert tickets. So let's dive in. So what is inflation really? The simplest way to put it is this: inflation is when the prices of goods and services go up over time. And when prices go up, the money in your pocket buys less than it used to. Think about it like this. Back in 2015, maybe you could get a burger meal at your favorite fast food place for $5. Today, that same burger meal might cost $8. The burger hasn't really changed. It's still bread, meat, and fries, but your $5 no longer stretches as far. That's inflation. It's not about one single product becoming more expensive, it's about the general rise in prices across the board, which makes your money less powerful. Economists call this the decline in purchasing power, but you can just think of it as your dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. Let's bring this even closer to real life. Imagine you have $100 in your wallet, and you go to the grocery store. 10 years ago, that $100 might have filled up your cart with food for the week. Fast forward to today, and the same $100 might only cover half the cart, or maybe just a few bags. Or let's talk about coffee. In 2010, you might have grabbed a regular cup for $1. Today, that same coffee costs $3. Same drink, but more expensive. Another example is movie tickets. Years ago, maybe a ticket cost you $6. Now you're paying $15, and if you add popcorn and a drink, it feels like you need a small loan just to watch a film. All of those are everyday signs of inflation. We don't need charts or graphs to notice it. We literally feel it in our daily lives. Now the big question: why do prices go up in the first place? What actually causes inflation? There are two main reasons economists talk about, and they have simple names: pull demand and cost push. First, pull demand inflation. This happens when people want to buy more goods than businesses can actually produce. Think of a concert with only 1,000 tickets available. If 2,000 people want to go, the price of those tickets shoots up. The same thing happens in the economy. When demand is higher than supply, prices rise. Second, cost push inflation. This is when it becomes more expensive for businesses to make products, so they pass those costs on to consumers. For example, if the cost of wheat goes up, bakeries raise the price of bread. If the price of oil or gas increases, transporting goods gets more expensive, and suddenly everything from groceries to gadgets costs more. And then there's the role of money itself. If a central bank, like the Federal Reserve in the United States, prints more money or keeps interest rates very low, there's suddenly more money floating around. More money chasing the same amount of goods often leads to higher prices. So inflation can come from demand being too high, from costs being too high, or from too much money in circulation. Here's something interesting. Inflation isn't always bad. A little bit of inflation isn't not only normal, it's actually considered healthy for the economy. Most central banks aim for around 2% per year. That small rise in prices encourages people to spend money, invest, and keep the economy moving forward. Why? Because if you know your money will slowly lose value sitting under your mattress, you're more likely to put it to work, whether that's buying a house, investing in a business, or simply spending on goods and services. That spending keeps companies running and creates jobs. The real problem happens when inflation gets too high, like 10, 20, or 50% a year. At that point, wages don't keep up, savings shrink, and people struggle to afford even basic items. That's when inflation becomes painful. Extreme inflation, called hyperinflation, has happened in history. Take Zimbabwe in the 2000s. Prices were doubling almost every day. People would carry bags or even wheelbarrows of cash just to buy groceries. At one point, they printed a $100 trillion note, and it still couldn't buy much. Or Germany after World War I. People burned paper money in stoves because it was cheaper than buying firewood. That's how bad inflation can get when it completely runs out of control. So what does all this mean for you and me? Inflation affects your daily life in three big ways. Number one, your paycheck might not stretch as far. Even if you get a small raise, if prices are rising faster than your salary, you're actually falling behind. Number two, your savings lose value if they just sit in a regular bank account. $1,000 today won't buy the same amount of stuff 10 years from now if inflation keeps ticking along. That's why many people try to invest in assets like stocks, real estate, or inflation-protected bonds, so their money grows faster than inflation eats it away. So let's wrap it up. Inflation simply means prices are rising and the value of money is shrinking. It happens when demand is higher than supply, when costs of production go up, or when there's too much money in circulation. A little bit of inflation is normal and even helpful, but too much can cause real problems. Next time you hear someone complain that their cup of coffee costs more than it used to, you'll know exactly why. That's inflation at work. If you found this explanation helpful, give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments. What's one item you've noticed go up in price the most in the last few years? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.